My name is Jason Fourier. I was a junior programmer at Check Six Studios starting in March 2002. Um, when I first came to Los Angeles, that was my first video game job ever in Los Angeles and only my second video game job in my career. So I was pretty excited to come to Los Angeles and work in the video games biz. And Check Six looked like a cool place to do it. They showed me their demo of Spyro 4, Enter the Dragonfly, during my interview, and I already had pretty good admiration for the Spyro series from Insomniac, and this was the first Spyro that was going to come out for PlayStation 2, which was exciting new hardware at the time, and the demo they showed me looked really cool, so I was really excited. I thought this was exactly the kind of game I want to work on. A Twitch action game with beautiful graphics and fun platforming puzzles. So uh, the job seemed like a good fit for me, and I came out. And when I came to Check Six, we were working in an office in Venice, California, right on the border between Venice and Santa Monica on Main Street. Um, which in retrospect was a pretty swanky pad to be in, right by the beach, really nice area, and maybe not the wisest choice for a location for a video game studio because I'm sure the rent was really high. We could have probably gotten an office somewhere much cheaper and not burned as much money, but it was a cool place to work because I could just walk to the beach whenever I felt like it on lunch breaks and stuff. Um, and we were sharing the office space with a company called Equinox. And as I recall, Check Six was basically doing all the engineering for Spyro, and Equinox was doing pretty much all the art, the animation stuff. And these two companies were coexisting happily, in theory, in the same office space. Um, so I came in March of 2002 and quickly learned that at that point the project had already been underway for quite some time. I think almost like about 2 years at that point. And the producers at Vivendi Universal had become quite concerned that the project was going to slip its release date, or maybe it already had slipped its release date. And in any case, Universal convinced Check Six to bring a bunch of new people on and get it done and get it done quick, and that's why I was brought on. Um, but I got to I met and I got to work with really cool people there at the company, great programmers like Jimmy Alaparabil, John Bojorquez, Warren Davis, and it was really hard work, but it was also a really interesting experience and a pretty cool way for me to start out my game career. So on the project, my responsibilities included working on things like the movement and behavior of Sparx, which was Spyro's sidekick, um, the AI and the animation of the Dragonfly NPCs. I did a lot of work on that. The Speedway games, and a lot of random stuff like the pregame and the in-game menus, memory card management, user interface, bug fixes. I did a magazine demo and stuff like that. And I really busted my butt on that project because they were pushing us hard. Like I said, the project was kind of in a urgent status, and they needed to get it done. And I remember I didn't have a car at the time, so my only way to get to work was either to take the bus or later I got a bike. But um, there was one time where I had to get something that I was working on done. It was pretty important, and I just didn't have enough time to get it done when they needed it. And so my only choice was to just sleep overnight at the office, and I ended up sleeping there two nights in a row and stayed there 3 days straight, sleeping on their sofa with the cats that lived in that office, and I was allergic to cats, so that was made it interesting too. But yeah, I really busted my butt on it. Um, and I think to the credit of the team, we got it done. We got the game done in time for the holidays, 2002. Got it out the door. I think we had to make a lot of sacrifices. I think the game wasn't what uh, everybody wanted it to be. Um, in my personal opinion, I don't think it quite lived up to the quality of the Insomniac Spyro games. I thought those were really slick, very polished, very well done games. I don't think our Spyro quite lived up to that. Um, Although it was pretty. Um, and let's see. Um, yeah, I don't. It was many years ago, so I don't remember all the things that went wrong on the project. I remember for whatever reason, the company had difficulty paying us, uh, and some paychecks were missed, and or they fell behind on them, and then later we got our paychecks, but then it kept happening again. And in the end, Check Six Studios still ended up owing me some money, which I never saw. But that's all water under the bridge now. So there was some drama there. But I guess my biggest personal disappointment about the project was just in general the performance of the game. When I came in and I saw the demo of the game, they had it running at a really slick, sleek, beautiful 60 frames per second, and I'm a huge fan of running the game at 60 FPS or higher. So that really appealed to me. And that was also a much higher frame rate than any of the previous Spyro games had run at because, they were made for the PlayStation 1, PSX, and hardly any games ran at 60 FPS on that. So I was really pleased to see that. I was really gung ho about it, but it didn't take long for me to realize that um, that wasn't really working out in reality in the project, and I think it's I think it's to some extent because poor management. The artists were not given the direction and the tools that they needed to make sure that the assets they made um, could be rendered by our engine at 60 FPS, and so we ended up with these assets that were um, too much for the hardware to push at 60 FPS. Um, but even more to the point, we just didn't have the time to optimize anything and get it running faster. And so it wasn't long before I realized our target of 60 FPS was changed, and we were shooting for 30 FPS. And then towards the end, we had a really hard time even keeping up with 30. So that was a huge disappointment to me. Um, but other than that, I wasn't terribly unhappy with how it came out. I think we worked really hard and came out with a pretty good product in the end, all things considered.